Good morning and welcome to the video for Thursday, August the 6th. This is going to be a video for upcoming 6th graders. The last thing I want to leave you with is a brief kind of look at why we learn statistics. This is something that we didn't do as much of when I was growing up, and you guys are learning this at an earlier age, which in some cases can be a benefit to you because there are some valid reasons to learn and know about this type of thing. And one of those reasons is because it is possible to intentionally misrepresent data to meet a particular viewpoint. And so we're going to take a look at two real-world examples of where that might happen. And so both of these come out of our math textbook in the very last lesson of the year. And so our first example is we are going to misrepresent what the average temperature is. And this is going to be important because the person that's wanting to move is wanting to move to a location where the high temperature averages in the 70s. Hawaii would be an example of a place in the United States where that particular climate is possible. Most other places in the United States is either going to be considerably cooler or considerably warmer for most of the year. It's not going to fit the high temperature in that nice little pocket of between 70 and 80 degrees. So here are other statistics. Now, our minimum high temperature is 62 degrees. That would be wonderful to have living in Ohio, where it ends up being considerably cooler during the winter months and then considerably warmer during the summer months. We have such a wide variety of temperatures that are possible that this would be very wonderful to have. Maximum high temperature, 95 degrees. Again, there are times where we actually get even warmer than that. So that still would be nicer in the summer than what we get some summers. This summer hasn't been too terribly bad from what I recall, but we're not done yet. So the median. So in a normal year, there are 365 days. This year we will have 366 because it's a leap year. If we were to put the high temperature for all of those days, the center point would come out to 69 degrees. So that means for at least half of the year, our average high temperature is going to be 69 degrees or less, and then the other half of the year it's going to be 69 degrees or more. So that's going to become important in a moment. If we take the average temperature, so we take all of those 365 or 366 days, and then we add them all together and divide by the number of days, we would get 72 degrees. So this is one way that we can find the center, but it might not be the most accurate. So if we actually want a average temperature to be in this between 70 and 80 degrees, but half of our points are below 70 degrees, then this would be an instance where this is not really representative of what is actually going to happen. Okay, so our mean would be not a good measure of center for this and would misrepresent the fact that most of our days are actually going to be cooler than between 70 and 80 degrees. And then we have a bunch that would also be warmer. So another way that we might do that is looking at restaurants. So in this particular case, this person is wanting a restaurant where meals are going to cost less than $16. If we look at our list, we have 16, 16, 18, 18, 19, and we have potato soup at $6. So if you have been to a restaurant, usually the potato soup is going to be an appetizer, not a meal size. So think about that for a moment. This particular restaurant is advertising that they have meals that average $15. Well, our things that we would normally consider a meal would probably fall. We have two 16s, we have two 18s, and a 19, so it's probably going to be somewhere around $17 or so for $17 or $18 for the average price of the actual meals. But they listed this particular thing that we would probably consider an appetizer at most places as a meal, which lowers the average price of what they have listed on the menu as being meals. So is $15 an accurate representation? So the other thing that we could look at is this is so much lower than everything else. When we were doing one of the other videos, we would talk about outliers. So this would be such a large outlier that it would distort the average, even if it wasn't potato soup. We could say that it was something else. It could be a kid's meal. We could say that this would be a children's dinner, and so that costing less would distort the price or the average for those prices. So that would be another example where we might have something that's a little bit thrown off, and we might be able to use one of our other ways. We could list out the prices and we could find the median to represent the center. We could go ahead and look at which ones are repeated more often to see if that would be a good measure of center. Or we could just kind of look and say, you know what, this potato soup probably isn't actually a meal size, and everything else but the potato soup is larger than what they say the average is. So maybe that's not a good way to look at that. So those are some things that we can keep in mind. There are other real-world examples that we could use where that type of thing happens, but we'll talk about that when we get into the actual school year, and I'll give you some different examples of things, some that are going on in the real news right now, with statistics that people are trying to use to compare as we look at making policies for how we are going to do school or other things while we are in the middle of the COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves in right now. But there are also some other things with car dealers. A lot of these situations are going to come up because someone is wanting to sell something and their goal is to get you to buy it. Well, if they make it look as appealing as possible, you are probably going to be more willing to buy it than if the statistics show that the actual costs and so forth of things that we're looking at are different than what we are hoping that they would be. So that ends up being a big determining factor in why we might intentionally choose to misrepresent our statistics to make the data look more favorable for the person that is selling that particular product or service. So hope you have a great rest of your summer. I'm going to be transitioning into making lesson review videos. So if you are doing the in-person learning at the school building at Risen Christ, this will be a short 2 to 3 minute video to remind you of what we worked on that particular day, talk about which homework problems you're going to be doing, and get you kind of refreshed in your memory of what we worked on so that you can complete the homework problems as easily as possible. And then if you are doing distance learning from home remotely, this will be embedded into a Google Classroom slide. So students that are meeting in person, you'll also have access to the slide in Google Classroom. You'll be able to click on the link each day for the live stream of the class, and then there will be a link to this video as well, so you can get your homework help that way, assuming that you haven't already completed it by the time that you would be ready to do that. So hope you have a great rest of your summer. I look forward to seeing all of you and the Meet the Teacher. All 4 of our upper grade teachers are going to be together. We're planning on doing it at school. We might do it outside so that we can just have people drive up and meet and greet and everything, and kind of minimize being indoors, make it a little bit easier for people that want to social distance or wear masks to go ahead and do that, or people that don't want to wear masks. That's also fine. We're trying to plan it to where that can work out. So if you are someone that wants to do that remotely, that will also be an option. So hopefully I get to see everyone one of those 2 methods here in the next couple of weeks. We should be announcing a specific date for when that's going to start very soon. So look forward to seeing all of you. Hope you have a great rest of your summer.